I've got my two go-to tents with me. I'm gonna set them up and walk you through all of the features that I like about them and why I use them in different situations. In the last few years, I'm focusing more on harder trips, bigger objectives. A lightweight shelter is definitely really important for those situations, but also having something that's just very user-friendly. At the end of the day, I don't wanna be really thinking about my shelter at all on a trip. I wanna have a shelter that I can rely on, that's quick to set up, and that handles a lot of conditions. This tent is the X-Dome 1 Plus made by Durston Gear. I've used it on 10 nights, I'd say. Variety of conditions, winter, more recently spring, kind of shoulder season conditions. There's a lot of reasons why right now this is my go-to shelter. It has a lot of the design features that are in common with the X-Mids, but then is also freestanding. Takes just a couple of minutes and you're pretty much good to go. With a freestanding shelter like this, you can set it up, then find the best spot where it's most level and have your tent set up from there. I've got Thermarest's largest backpacking mattress with me inside of the X-Dome. This is the Neoloft. It's 77 inches long by 25 inches wide, and it's very, very thick. It just gives you an overall idea of how much space there is in here. This is obviously a small tent. It's a one-person tent, but I think it's a two-person tent in terms of the overall dimensions, sleeping on the diagonal with this cutout. And that just means that your vestibule is part of the overall rectangle instead of having extra material on the outside of it. So I have a ton of room in here. I'm 6'3", and I fit inside of this tent no problem at all. I do touch a little bit at the foot and at the head sometimes, but because this is a double wall tent, there's no moisture that gets onto my sleeping bag. That's on the outside fly. Little extra spot inside the tent to put all of your gear. There's one pocket, a spot up top with some loops where you can put kind of a clothesline. But the livability in my mind is the biggest feature of this tent. The ability to get inside, spread your gear out on one corner and kind of stay organized there. You have a big vestibule here where I put my pack, my shoes, everything like that. And I normally warm up my water for coffee in the morning right here. It's nicely protected, which is really quite rare in tents to have access to your vestibule completely from inside the tent. So I can reach no problem and zip it up or open it. It has those magnetic tiebacks for the doors. You also have those magnetic tiebacks for the inner. It opens completely the length of the tent. Both go back. You have this nice big door. I spend quite a bit of time just sitting like this. I can see out really nicely, but I'm still very well protected from above. I've been in this tent with some snow coming down, and you get very good protection. Would you want to be in an extreme rainstorm with the door open? No, but it would handle some drizzle. If it is raining hard, you'll have some protection getting in and out, meaning you're not going to soak the inside of the tent. The fact that it's freestanding and that the poles are on the outside of the tent are the big selling point. That also means that if it's raining and you set up your tent, you're not having to set up the inner first, getting that soaked, then putting the fly on. It is all about usability. Every feature of this tent just makes life easy. The second tent that I have with me is the X-Mid 1. So this is a really well-known tent. Very popular. Setup is quick. I've been using X-Mids now for probably 2 or 3 years, at least 2, mostly the solid. And what you want is a good square pitch. This is the one-person 2025 version, so the Gen 3. It's supposed to have quite a few updates to it, and I've noticed a few already. But overall, there are a lot of features that are shared between the X-Mid and the X-Dome in terms of livability. First one is that, just like the X-Dome, you have access to your vestibule while sitting in the tent. You can tie the doors back, have it open like this, and still be very well protected. The main differences between the X-Mid and the X-Dome is that this is a trekking pole style of tent, so you need to have some kind of pole with you, and that it is a 2-door tent. Instead of having the extra internal corner that you can use to store your gear, this tent has 2 doors, so it's symmetrical. You have 1 door on this side and you have the exact same door on the other side and an other vestibule. As long as you have it set up how you want it in terms of the length and the width, you can get into either side. You don't have to figure out which side of the tent you want the door on because they're both there. It's definitely a feature that I like about the X-Dome, being able to spread out all my gear inside of the tent. But sometimes I do miss the fact that I can't get out on either side of the tent, depending on the weather, the wind. Sometimes when you set up in the evening, the wind is going one way, and then the next morning the wind shifts, and you want the protection on the other side. You have 4 pockets on this tent, 2 up high at one end, and the exact same thing over here, 1 here and 1 here. You have some loops that if you want to set up a little clothesline, those are there. And because you're on the diagonal, you do have quite a lot of room. I'm literally lying down in the tent. I can just reach out, zip that up, no problem. This is the 3rd generation X-Mid, and there's definitely some improvements. So I've used the X-Mid 1-person in the solid version quite a lot, and this tent has some improvements that I really like already. Connection between the inner and the actual fly, which used to be little mitten hook, now they're regular clips. I really like that. It makes it much less fussy. You can unclip them with one hand, which is great. Another update is the overall space inside of the tent. It's increased a little bit, but I think that really improves the livability. The whole length of the tent, I can sit up no problem. I can turn around, I can spin around. Small side struts on the inner tent at the bathtub floor. I think that gives you a little bit more room, and that's also an improvement. The X-Dome for me is a great tent for when weight is a little bit less important and you just want something very simple and easy to use that you can rely on. It's a little bit heavier at 35 ounces, which is still a very, very lightweight tent. The X-Mid is quite a different story. It's a little bit lighter at 25 ounces, but that's because you need your own pole system with you. So if you're a person that carries trekking poles, it's a really great option and it's a way to save a lot of weight. One of the main features of the X-Mid, besides all of the usability and the stormworthiness, is how compact it is. It takes up almost no space in your pack. And for me, that can be almost as important as how light a tent is. There's a lot of other great tents on the market, depending what you think is important. For myself, I really like the Plex family of tents by Z-Packs. The Altaplex is the one that fits me, but there's the Plex Solo. These are extremely lightweight tents. They're under a pound, all the way down to 11 ounces if you're willing to take the lightweight version. There are some trade-offs with those tents to get that extreme lightweight. You need a lot of stakeout points. There's less livability in terms of interior space and other features, but the main one is that they're single wall tents and you really do have to manage moisture completely differently. If you want to see the kind of conditions that I trust the X-Dome in, I'll link a video right here. Something that I always forget is that you can add trekking poles to the X-Dome to make it stronger. I've done that a few times just to test it out, and it turns it into an absolutely bomb-proof shelter.